Hello, it's Janice again. I was thinking, we hear that the importance of sharing a testimony. It says the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And we really do need to share them more because what they do is they encourage us to know that He is no respecter of person and anybody can do all of these things. The Lord just needs a willing vessel who will step out and say, use me. And so I've done that a few times, and I want to share with you maybe three short little testimonies. And I can tell you now, if the Lord can use me, we hear this all the time, He can use anyone. Um, if you knew me, you would laugh. So anyway, let me see. The first one, these are not in order, but just as I remember them. One, I was coming back from Mexico. I was at a missions trip, and I'm in the airport. And so the Lord tells us to test things. And I'm going to go back a little bit. My whole life, I've always, I grew up listening to Kenneth Copeland and Hagin and, the faith preachers. So that helped a lot. But so when things would happen, even with my children, if they had a headache, I say, did you pray over it? So that was always our first thing. Rather than go to the medicine cabinet and get medicine, we would always just lay hands on it first and pray. So anyway, in Mexico, coming back from Mexico, I was in the airport and I'm thinking, Lord, what do you want to say to somebody? Just what's on your heart? Just let me know. I just wanted to hear from him what he wanted to say to anyone. So I'm just sitting there and I had a tablet and I'm waiting. And that shows the Lord that you're willing and wanting to hear from him. Even if you're not a dreamer and you would like to dream, you should always have a pad and pencil handy. That's showing him, hey, I'm listening. I'm waiting to hear what you have to say. So I'm sitting there and I hear, your wife really does love you. I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. I just heard that, but well, so then I'm looking around and I look at the guy next to me and I see, okay, well, he does have a ring on his finger. Then I get a little nervous like we do. It's like, oh, Lord, how am I going to say this? How do I even start? So I went through my mind all these things of how to start and trying to encourage myself, thinking, well, I'm out of town. He'll never see me again. I don't know why we go through all of that, but eventually I said, sir, excuse me. I just came back from a missions trip and I just feel like I heard the Lord say this and I think this message is for you. So I showed it to him and he looked and he was like stunned. And he says, you don't know how timely that is. And I thought, well, good. And I had turned my head, I was like, oh, But he taps my shoulder and says, and he shows me his cell phone. He had just texted his wife and says, do you still love me? So that was pretty neat. It was awesome. Okay. So I went to this conference. I wanted to go, wasn't really thinking much about it. It was the night before, and I just felt this, not an urgency, but I felt like go. I'm thinking, okay, I didn't have a hotel room. Nothing was planned. So I talked to my husband and we decided, to go. And it was like way in I can't even remember the town. It was somewhere near Cincinnati, but it was in the boonies. So I go, and during the break, I'm sitting in my car and I'm talking to my mom. And I didn't want her worrying about me being out there alone and not having a hotel. And I told her I was staying with my friend Peggy. Now, I thought when I got off the phone, why in the world did I say Peggy? First, I felt bad about telling my mom a story, but I didn't want her to worry. I repented of it. And so I was thinking, why did I say Peggy? I don't even know anyone named Peggy. So I get back to the conference, not thinking anything about it. We're in this line doing some kind of exercise, and I'm standing next to a girl. We introduce ourselves. We're talking. She says, "Where are you staying?" I said, "Oh, I don't know yet." And she was saying, "Well, you can stay with me. It's just me and my dog." And I said, "Well, that's really nice. Are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah, sure, you can come." She had a farm with many, many acres. It was really neat and had animals. So I left and went back to do whatever I was doing. But the Lord just quickened me really quick and said, "Did you see her name?" I was like, and I went back and I looked at her badge and her name was Peggy. So I didn't tell a story, but that was really cool. So I stayed with her and we had a really good time. And we would go to the conference and come back in the evening because it was over a couple of days. The one night we came back after having a really good time, there's this guy on the phone. It's her, he helps her with the farm, and they're like miles away because their land is, they have so much land in this area. But he would help her out. But he called and said, "Call the squad. You got to get here quick." And we didn't know what was going on. We jumped in the cars, pitch black, because it was so late at night, and we're worried. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if he's had a heart attack, if somebody come in and hurt him. But we get there, and he's all bent over, holding his stomach, and he says, "I feel like my guts are coming out," and he's just pushing, putting pressure on it. And then he even asks for his boot, and he takes his boot and he puts it on that part. It's like there's a hole, and his guts are coming out. So we're waiting for a long time for the squad. They finally get there, but he can't even stand up or move. But before that, I did pray for him and didn't think anything else about it. But he goes to the emergency room. She goes with him. I go back to her house. And so I'm just waiting for her to come back. She comes back after staying, all night long. You know how it is at the emergency room. But when she gets back, she said they don't know what it is. There's nothing. They couldn't find anything, and he was fine. He walked out of there the next day. He was over. He fixed us a meal because he was, thanking us for helping him. So I thought that was pretty cool. What's the last one? Okay, the last one is in Mexico. A lot of things happen in Mexico. There was something too about the pastor's wives' feet, because there was like 3 different ones. I don't know what that, it was interesting. But this one pastor's wife, Pastor Mason, the one you may have heard me talk about her in another video. She was really good. But she said, "Janice, go pray for her." Now her foot, I'll tell you about that in a minute. She said, "Pray for her foot." Well, I'm in front of everybody, and I'm thinking, oh. So I prayed a quick little prayer and told her, okay. And Pastor Mason said, "Go pray for her foot." And so I went back. We were in the back then, and I'm praying for her foot, and I just commanded it to, Father, in the name of Jesus, I command this foot to grow to its normal length and strength, and speaking to the nerves and muscles and tendons and just whatever. God doesn't care what you say. It's just, the faith behind it, really. So I prayed for it, and her foot was like, it made you think of in the Bible the withered hand, because it was so deformed and contorted. That's the word. It was weird. She could barely get a shoe on it, but she had a shoe, but it was hardly on it. So I actually watched her foot twist and turn and become straight, completely straight. And she put her shoe on and walked back up to the front, and everybody was cheering. They were cheering because they knew her. They knew what her foot looked like before. So they saw the before and after. So it's so cool to see God move. He does still move in power. And I had always believed that he confirms his word with signs following. So whenever I spoke his word, I'm saying this for you too. It's for all of us, if we'll flow in it. You speak the word, the truth, then signs will follow. He said that in the Bible. And so it surely happened. I've seen that happen many times. So I hope that you will step out when you speak the word, preach the word, teach in any platform. It doesn't matter. Expect and allow for the power. Don't deny the power of God. Expect signs to follow. So that means you got to do something. After you give them the word, then you say, okay, who needs healing? Who needs whatever? Or wait for word of knowledge. Maybe you'll feel something on your body. Just give him a moment to move. Don't just cut it off. So I hope that encourages you, and I hope you'll step out and do something. You'll be awesomely amazed. So be blessed. Bye.